decide when I'm done.
You are not winning this.
I'm coming for you, Storm.
You guys have done some great films. How do you know Pixar's always about the story, Disney's about the story. How do you know when you have a good story?
We're our first audience, so we have to trust our instincts, and if we're moved, because we do these story reels and we do all these early versions of the film, with just storyboards and our friends doing the voices and stuff like that, and when we're moved, then we have to trust we're onto something. And we show it to Pixar audience, Pixar internally. And I always feel like if the accounting department, the finance department likes the movie, we're on to something. They're a tough crowd.
Yeah, and I was also hearing from Lou that, the makers of Lou, that the story is always developing throughout the process, and the editing, is that right? That you guys are editing up until like the last moment to make it perfect, or? Sorry, we have a joke that the movie's never done, they just come out. Yeah. And even our writer, Mike Rich, who's a deep thinker and soulful, and he was integral to our structure, we showed him the movie because we want to know if he wanted to be a part of Long Lead Press, and he said, it's great, I love it, but I do have a note. And I'm like, oh. At this point, it's a little late for the train is leaving the station, notes, right? Yeah. And so we called animation and called layout and said, we have another shot, and it's that wonderful moment where Cruz and McQueen she acknowledges what McQueen did for her, and he acknowledges what she achieved. And it's just this little quiet moment. They don't speak. They don't speak, there's no dialogue, and it was like, yeah, that guy can give a good note. Yeah, and this movie has some great messages in it. Is that something you really think about, like what kids are gonna learn from the movies when you're kind of creating? We tell the story more, we tell the story, and if there is a message that comes out of it, that's great, but we don't go, okay, let's look at, here's a bunch of messages. Let's try to mine the messages. Yeah. We don't want to be preachy. We never want to feel, because audiences don't want to be preached at. But we do, we are emotional beings, everybody is. And, we want to, basically, we want to share. We want to share it. We have a feeling, we want to share it. We hope the audience has the same feeling. So we try to put the things on the screen that are going to translate. Well, I like the theme and message about, like you're talking about McQueen seeing Cruz, now he's seeing her, she can do it no matter what, and the theme of the age doesn't matter. So can you talk a little bit more about that? And we were inspired, especially by Cristela Alonzo, who plays the voice of Cruz Ramirez. We were inspired by her story of being born in a border town of Texas and being told, you can't be an actress, you can't be a comedian, that's just not possible, that's not what we do. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of how often people do dream but self-limit, it makes it, it was a really, wow, that's a wonderful part of the story. Mm-hmm. And that's an example there of, we had already cast her. Mm-hmm. And then once we really talked with her and learned her story, we rewrote the character. Mm-hmm. So the evolution never stops until we run out of time. Yeah. Did either of you have mentors in the industry that kind of helped you, or maybe even before you got in the industry, like teachers that believed in you? I had a wonderful producer. I worked on Nightmare Before Christmas, Kathleen Gavin, professionally, who I saw how she ran a show and how she supported her director, and I took a lot of notes. I got my start at Pixar as a story assistant on the first Cars film, working under John Lasseter, but I was hired by Joe Ranft, who was the head of story, and I had never drawn a storyboard panel in my life, yet he hired me to, I don't know, took a risk, right? and then he continued to just help me and give me opportunities that he didn't need to do. So I look at both of those, John and Joe, as people that I couldn't be here without their support and their belief.